Welcome back to Joe's Computer Museum. Today we're going to meet the rarest computer in my collection, the Nec Pc-8001A. Warm up the CRT, it's time for another episode. The Nec Pc-8001A is the Western market variant of the original Japanese PC-8001. Released in Japan in May of 1979, it is one of the first domestically produced Japanese personal computers available fully assembled instead of a kit. Its design is similar to the TRS-80 Model 1, with the keyboard computer combo, expansion unit, and floppy units. The I/O unit even connects to it in the same way. But unlike the TRS-80, the PC-8001A is built like a tank, with super thick plastic and rigid metal casework. It sports an NEC Z80 compatible processor, up to 32K of RAM, text and simple color graphics, and other features common of the era. It came with Microsoft Basic out of the box and could run CP/M, Disk Basic, and a few other operating systems. But because the hardware specifications are poor compared to NEC's better equipped 8800 series, relatively little software exists for it. Although popular in Japan, the series wasn't very popular in the United States, and they are pretty rare here. Enough blabbering on. Let's get to the good stuff. So let's take a look at everything I got. Back there is the actual computer unit itself, the PC-8001A. The color monitor that comes with it. This guy right in here is the I/O box, the I/O adapter thingy, whatever. Printer came with it. Disk drive came with it. And not only that, the thing came with an actual branded stand. It is the coolest thing. So let's get it all set up so I can show you what it looks like in its natural setup. This thing is super dusty on the outside, but it's actually in very good condition. It deserves a full cleaning, but first things first. Let's look everything over and take it all apart. First, the main unit. This is the PC-8001A computer unit. It's the standard computer and keyboard arrangement, with tape output, monochrome and RGB display outputs, parallel printer connection, and external bus connection. To open it up, remove the 4 exposed screws at the corners. Do not remove the feet yet. Flip over and hinge the cover to the right, then disconnect the cables and set the cover to the side. Now flip it back over and remove the feet. The feet screws hold the inner RF frame and power supplies, so watch out for that. Remove the power supply cable, speaker cable, and ground lug. Then, lift the RF frame and power supply out of the unit. To remove the main board, take out the reset button, squeeze the plastic clips, and lift. This thing is insanely clean on the inside for how dirty it is on the outside. Let's just enjoy this moment. Now, let's look at the I/O unit. This is the PC-8012A I/O unit. It's an extension of the system bus that allows you to add cards or connect a floppy unit. To open it up, you just remove the 8 corner screws and lift off the cover. That's pretty much it. You can remove any cards with just 1 or 2 screws. Looky, I have the 32K memory expansion card! And the power supply comes out with 4 screws on the bottom. Finally, the main board is removed the same way as it is in the main unit. Disconnect the wires, squeeze the retainers, and pull. This guy is pretty dusty, so while I'm in here, I'm gonna clean it up. That's better! Not much else to see in here, so let's move on. What about the printer and monitor? The printer is a pretty standard parallel unit with C-Ito guts. Hey look! It's an image writer on the inside. See? Same ribbon, guts, and everything. Heck, my image writer even has an NEC branded cartridge in it. The monitor is a color RGB display typical of the time. I'm not going to take either of these apart as there's not much going on and they're both complicated and potentially hazardous. Finally, let's look at the floppy unit, because this guy's got some issues. This is the PC-8031A mini disk unit. It sports 2 full-height single-sided double-density drives. Again, standard for the time and about the same as the Osborne or a K-Pro. To open the unit, just remove the 4 screws on the side and take off the cover. To remove the interface board, remove 4 corner screws. 2 are in plastic headers, one's in the metal bracket, and another is on the board next to J3. Also, remove the ground lug. Rotate the front up, pivoting along the back edge. Remove all the connectors. And lift it out. The main board seems to be its own computer with a dedicated Z80 processor, RAM, and ROM. This was fairly common actually. The Commodore 64 is a great example of this. To remove the power supply, remove the interface board first, disconnect the power drive leads, and remove the 4 screws on the bottom. Then, carefully remove the power lead from the rubber grommet and thread the power cable through the back. Finally, disconnect the ground lug and front LED connector. Now, while we're in here, we have some work to do, because the floppy unit as delivered did not power on. Based on my experience with the TRS-80 Model 1, I figure it's a shorted capacitor somewhere. First, I opened the power supply case and discovered a blown fuse. This means something was drawing way too much current. There's definitely a short somewhere. The big question is, did it blow because the power supply is bad, or because one of the floppy drives is bad? Before I do any further testing, I have to replace that fuse. First things first, discharge the capacitors. We don't want any nasty surprises. The original fuse is soldered in. So I cut it out and soldered in a fuse holder to make a replacement easier. Then I replaced the fuse and turned on the supply with no load. And it blew the fuse. That means we have a dead short in the supply itself. Nice and quick diagnostic. So let's replace all the big electrolytic capacitors. Now the new caps are in. Let's test it again. 3, 2, 1. Cool! No blown fuse. Now let's put it all back together and see if it powers up. Yep! We're almost ready. But before we proceed, let's back up the disk that came with it, because it's the only software I have. All we need is Simon Owen's SamDisk program and a 360K floppy drive. We're ready. Let's assemble the machine and test it. look at that! It boots to the original software. The whole system works. As far as extra software goes, I found the Neo Kobe collection on archive.org. But the disk images look to be from a system paired with an 8031-2W or similar double-sided disk unit, and I only have the single-sided unit. For the CPM-based disks, I created a process to get software out of those images and onto real disks. Get ready, it's a doozy. Use SAMDisk to copy the original disk image to a new disk. Ensure it boots properly. Use 22disk to dump hello56.com from your new disk to your DOS box. Use 22disk to delete all files from your new disk. Optionally try booting again just for good measure. Use SAMDisk to make a blank image for future creation of bootable floppies. Now use SAMDisk to write the incorrect double-sided disk from archive.org. Use 22disk to copy everything from the broken incorrect double-sided disk to a dump folder on your DOS box. If hello56.com exists, delete it from the dump folder. Copy the original hello56.com file into the dump folder. Use 22disk to copy the files back to your new blank disk. This results in a somewhat working disk, but for the image I tried, most of the programs crashed the machine. Stat is a very good example of this. What I really want are the games on the non-CPM images. That's where the good stuff is. But these images just won't work. I can get a couple to just barely load, and then they complain and stop. And NBasic just says it's not disk basic. So to use these disk images, I'll need a different floppy unit. I'll leave that as an acquisition for the future. Now all the machine needs is a little cleanup. I love the smell of glass cleaner in the morning. It may be yellow, but it's definitely cleaner. When removing the keycaps to clean them, I broke a couple of the key studs. See the card up here for a quick video of how I fixed those. This little guy is just the coolest. Not only is it super clean, it's feature complete and totally original. I don't have much software for it, which makes it of limited use. So if you own an NEC Pc-8001A and also have the Pc-8031A 1W drive unit, I'd love to work with you to preserve any working floppies you have. If you like my videos, become a patron on Patreon. Your contribution helps me keep making cool stuff. Link in the description. Well, that's all for today's episode. While you're here, check out some of my other videos, and remember, 8 bits are all you need. Smells like somebody's making lentil soup.